Hey guys, how's it going? Alright, so a few days ago, as you may recall if you've been watching the videos, I had an incredible game with my budget Nin deck against a Selvala deck, where I declared at the end of the replay, which was 45 minutes long, that I probably wouldn't see a game that good for quite some time. And I must say, happily, I was wrong. I just had an absolutely insane game against my frequent nemesis, apparently Kiki Wiki Jiki, who was the subject of a two-part replay a few days back where we went down to the wire. I'm trying to recall the deck that he was playing. Feels like it was mono green. Yeah, I think it was Azuri, actually. Doesn't really matter right now. He's playing something different here. And this game is freaking amazing. All right, let's move along past the turn. I'm going second here. This time around, he's playing with Ghoulcaller Gisa. Not particularly the strongest mono-black commander. In fact, not one you see very often. I'd say it's definitely squarely B tier. But when you're playing a budget deck, depending on what your opponent gets going, pretty much any strategy can be a problem to deal with. And this game is a good example of that. I'm using the budget Nin deck again, a deck I just can't quit. It's too much fun. And I still owe you guys a deck tech on this deck. It's changed a little bit, but it's pretty much the same list I've been running for a while. All right, so in front of me, going second, I have a hand that is so tempting to keep. This hand is just, it is so delicious, especially against mono black, if I just have one more land. Because if I have an island here, I can go turn one island into Soul Ring into Star Compass, untap, place Levy Excavations to destroy the island, say done, dissolve something you might do, and if not, cast Factor Fiction and then slam Frost Titan, and I'm just off to the races. It's an incredible draw. Unfortunately, if there is no land on top of my deck for a couple turns, and he gets any type of start at all, this hand is just dead in the water. I can't even play the Levy Excavations. I don't even have a single land. So, regretfully, I have to pack in this hand and go for a 6. Made me very sad to do that. And off the 6, I get a somewhat decent hand. This hand is, it's below 50th percentile for sure. I mean, really, the only thing it has going for it is the fact that it has 3 lands in it and the ability to destroy an opposing Soul Ring. But it's got a Legacy's Allure I can't play. It's got a Control Magic I can't play. It's just all sorts of bad. And both these cards, honestly, probably not too good against mono black anyway. They tend to have lots of artifacts and planeswalkers and stuff that give you problems, enchantments and so on. Not really so much the creatures. So all this creature defense is not really very useful. And on top of my deck is a useless Void Shatter, which of course I'm going to tuck to the bottom because I need to draw 2 blue mana to actually turn the rest of my hand on. So I'm going to put that away and hope. And I'm going second too, and just hope he doesn't have too fast of a start, although I do have the Bifrost, so it wouldn't be the end of the world if he did have an early Soul Ring or Mana Crypt, provided he didn't have too much to go with it. So he plays a turn 1 Crypt of Agadim. Not a land you see too often, but can be quite good in a deck that's creature heavy. Kind of like a weird Cabal Coffers, I guess. Alright, Flame Tongue Kavu. Alright, that's not the best either. That's not an island. Certainly going to play the island here first. Hope to get a second blue. And just get the Legacy's Allure cranking up, which will at least give me some long-term defense. And then he plays Ancient Tomb on turn 2. And this is just one of those cards where when you're playing a budget deck and you have no access to land destruction really that's cheap, you just get raked across the coals by lands like Ancient Tomb and stuff. It just feels really unfair when your opponent gets them. It's just like a City of Traders that works from turn 1 onward. Workshop feels just as bad. And he plays a Jet Medallion off of it. And that allows him to cast Demonic Tutor. Alright, well, I gotta hope here that maybe he doesn't have more black sources and that he gets greedy with his Demonic Tutor and just fetches more artifacts. In which case I can blow up multiple things with the Bifrost. I have no idea what he got, but because of that, I'm not going to actually destroy the Jet Medallion right now. I'm just going to gamble on the hope that he went and got another artifact. And there's a wide range of artifacts he might go for here that the Bifrost would work against. Fortunately, my deck rewards me for on the next turn by delivering Terramorphic Expanse, the world's worst fetch land. So I'm going to go get an island with that at least to get 2 blue mana. I can't play the Legacy's Allure yet. And he plays Myriad Landscape. Quite solid when you've got Ancient Tomb. And he gets Expedition Map. I'm left to wonder what he Demonic Tutored for. But I guess I'll find out later unless it was... I doubt it was this card. Maybe it was Expedition Map. But I kind of doubt that too, actually. Anyway, I'm going to go get an island. Untap here. Alright, so faced with a choice here, right? I can play Nin, I can bluff Counter Magic, or I can play Legacy's Allure. Those are the options. And given the fact that my opponent has an Expedition map, I honestly think that he's probably going to get either a Strip Mine with this, or he might get Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, which would turn his Ancient Tomb into a black mana producer. And maybe he's going to try to run Necro out. But maybe he'd be a little reluctant to run Necro into 3 mana here. So I gotta hope that he's going to get something to just develop his mana rather than attack mine. Because if he were to start killing my mana with this Jet Medallion in play, things could go from bad to worse. Especially because he'd be able to use his Mirrored Landscape and ramp out way ahead of me. So with that in mind, I'm not going to bluff any counter magic. I figure that he might, whatever he's going to do, it may just involve sacking this artifact and sacking his landscape next turn and ramping up for the 3rd turn. So it gives me a chance to get the Legacy's Allure out and start ticking up counters on it, just in case that might wind up actually mattering this game. So he sacks that during end step. And surprises me by just getting a plain old swamp. Doesn't even go get an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, which he must be playing with. I mean, pretty much it's standard fare for all mono black decks, unless they are budget. Alright, so he plays his swamp. And he plays Liliana of the Veil. Off the Jet Medallion. Now I feel pretty bad. This is definitely a punish for me not using the Bifrost to destroy the Jet Medallion. And I did see a turn there where he didn't play anything. He certainly didn't play a Crypt or a Soul Ring, so it might have been correct to just blow the Jet Medallion up because it just allows such explosive, crazy stuff like this. And unfortunately, I didn't do it. And now he gets to play Liliana of the Veil, and he still has enough mana to use the Mirrored Landscape. And of course, he makes us both discard. And looking at my hand here, this is a really tough choice. I'll give you guys a moment to consider about what you might throw away. After a few seconds go by, I will tell you what I threw away and why. Okay, so ultimately my choice is... Okay, so first of all, this thing's already at 4 counters. I can't use the Flametongue Kavu to interact with it. However, the Flametongue Kavu does kill his commander in the event that he's going to play the commander next turn. So I kind of need that. Bifrost, well, I would like to get rid of Jet Medallion, especially he might play another mana artifact or something like that. So the Bifrost has some value. But what I'm actually seeing here is that I'm going to have to chain cast Nin multiple times and hope that he doesn't have removal from his hand to destroy it with, in which case I'm going to use Nin as a way to keep Liliana low on counters so that it can't get up to the ultimate, which is basically just game ending. And with that in mind, that leaves only one card, which regretfully is the Control Magic. And the thing is that the Control Magic is the least interactive card in my hand. It requires something specific that I wouldn't be able to Flametongue Kavu away. And there's no guarantee that this is ever going to matter. I have no idea what his creatures are. Although, given the fact that this thing does talk about zombies, sacrificing another creature, it does imply that he's got other creatures. But I decided I'm going to throw away the Control Magic. And I'm going to keep my mana available because I definitely need the ability to cast Nin multiple times. And look at that. He discards a Wasteland. Whew, okay, good. Well, now I've got the Seed of the Synod safely. He's got nothing else going on. But this is really, really not looking like a good situation. I mean, I'm going to be playing Nin into a 4-counter Liliana of the Veil. My opponent's going to have 6 mana minimum with a Jet Medallion in play next turn. And still has 3 cards in his hand as well. But I do draw a Miscalculation, which at least gives me the ability to interact with something expensive that he might play. So I'm just going to take this opportunity to throw Nin to the wolves here to keep counters off Liliana. Of course, he sacrifices Mirrored Landscape in a turn, gets 2 more swamps. Alright, he is up to 6 mana plus Jet Medallion, so he's capable of casting 7 drops. Alright, makes me sack a creature, of course. I completely expected that. Alright, taps a bunch of mana. And he plays Mikaeus the Unhallowed. Fortunately, he did not draw a land that turn, and I'm able to stop it with this miscalculation that I just drew. Very timely. In case you guys remember, this used to be a Talrand. The 2/2 that makes Drakes a while back in this version of the deck. And I kept drawing Talrand in terrible situations like this would have been one, where it did nothing. So I swapped it out for Miscalc, and I've been very happy with that change. Alright, 2 counters on Legacy's Allure. Slowly ticking up. I guess I've got his commander under control in a turn or 2. One thing that is nice about the Legacy's Allure is that if I am able to get it high enough and he's got a creature out, then I can play Nin. If he uses Liliana to try to make me sack, I can grab a creature at instant speed and sack that instead. So not too bad. I'm just going to play Nin here again now that Liliana is down to 2 counters and play my Guildgate and hope that he's faced with the choice of having to either make me sack the Nin a second time and lose the Liliana, which would end that problem, or potentially he would just take up Liliana and I'd get a use out of my Nin the Pain Artist if he had no more removal in hand. One thing I really miss in my deck, because it's no longer budget, is the Pithing Needle, which was one of the ways that this budget deck could deal with Planeswalkers pretty well. And in my actual paper budget version, I'm not using Rolling Earthquake because it's not budget. I'm using the card Magma Quake instead, which I have to use against non-budget decks to kill their Planeswalkers. It's very, very good against that because you can kill multiple Planeswalkers at once, even if a person has multiple copies of a Planeswalker in play at the same time. Or if they just have two out, you can kill both of them. So back to his turn. He's tapping a bunch of mana here, and he places Skin Render, which I guess makes sense in his deck, given that he's a zombie deck. He did overpay on that, which is kind of interesting. He forgot about his Jet Medallion, but I guess that was part of using Ancient Tomb there, and he kills off Nin, which really sucks. And he has enough mana left, thanks to Jet Medallion, to play Read the Bones. And now his 2-card hand is up to 4 after scrying. And in case you're wondering, he put 1 card on top and 1 card on the bottom. I'm not looking at the log for the game, but now he can make me discard and painlessly throw away a card since he just got 2 more, and he casts Reanimate on Mikaeus. Oh, that is so bad. Jesus Christ. What the hell am I going to do now? Because when he did that, I was thinking, all right, well, that's not bad, because Legacy's Allure can handle the Skin Render, plus I can Flame Tongue Kaboot and kill it. And then I've got this 3-counter Legacy's Allure, which prevents him from playing his commander to block, and I can use Flame Tongue Kaboot to come over and bash Liliana after playing Nin. So it actually gives me some defense, but then he reanimates Mikaeus. Now the Skin Render's a 4/4 with Undying, which means that I can't even kill it permanently with Flame Tongue Kaboot. So if I kill it, it just comes back as a 5/5 and it kills Flame Tongue Kaboot, and it's even worse. Yuck. I mean, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do at this point. I can't play Nin. Nin gets killed right away. I can't steal anything with Legacy's Allure. I'm getting bashed for 9. Flame Tongue Kaboot just dies on arrival, and he's got a ton of mana. This is just a horrible situation. And in the worst of situations, there's only one answer. Draw cards. And I hope you find the solution. And a solution quickly. I'm taking 9 a turn. Help. All right. He makes me discard a card again. So in response, I'm just going to Thirst for Knowledge here. I really need to hit an artifact here that is not important, so I can throw that away to the Thirst and at least make my hand size bigger. This is absolutely at the face of grasping at straws. And I get an artifact right off the top, which is nice, as well as a relatively trivial card to throw away. In fact, this Thirst for Knowledge, in retrospect, was phenomenal. It gave me an artifact to pad my hand size, gave me something to throw away painlessly, and it gave me Cur Keep, actually, which is pretty good against a Planeswalker that makes you sack your creatures. So I'm going to discard that. I'm going to take a beating here. I get smashed for 9. And then he thinks about it for a second, probably thinks about deploying his commander, and then thinks better of it, given the fact that my Legacy's Allure is now sitting at 3 counters. And he decides not to do that, which I can understand. All right, 4 counters. Legacy's Allure. Carry me. All right, I draw Muldrifter. Well, that's really nice, actually, because that's gonna draw fire from Liliana and draw me 2 more cards to protect me from the discard effect. That is very timely. So I cast Mount Muldrifter, of course, without the Evoke. Draw 2. I get 2 more land. Not the worst thing in the world. I'm certainly going to play Cur Keep here. There might have been some value in playing the island over the Cur Keep, mainly because it would bluff a more robust ability to counter, and he might actually have to think twice about it. Obviously, he doesn't know my deck, but of course there's a much smaller range of things that I can play for blue and generic than I can play for blue-blue. And I can't use the Cur Keep now anyway, so maybe better to hold it, especially because it would, if you did have a Strip Mine or something like Crucible of Worlds or something, and to get this Wasteland back, then I would lose the ability to even make a token out of the Cur Keep, which might prove to be very valuable. So I think a mistake to play the Cur Keep there, certainly since I couldn't use it. But I am up to 4 counters here. This isn't the end of the world. And I'm wondering about what kind of attack he's going to commit to. So he makes me sack a creature, which I'm a little surprised about, but I guess it does make sense since I'll have the ability to use Cur Keep to protect the Muldrifter next turn. Of course, it's going to die. And I guess it makes sense to do that now, too, because if I am able to get Legacy's Allure to 5 counters, I can grab the Mikaeus, and then if he makes me sack, I choose Muldrifter, and Muldrifter comes back as a 3/3, and I draw 2 off of it. So that's kind of his window to do it. I get hit for 9, down to 12. Really not good. And then combo-tastic. He casts Triskelion. So that's death, right? He deals 1 to me, and then the Triskelion shoots itself twice. I believe that's how it would work, right? 1 damage to me. Triskelion becomes a 4/4. He shoots itself. Becomes a 3/3. He shoots itself again. It becomes a 2/2. It dies and comes back with an extra counter, and it shoots me twice and shoots itself down, and that's the end of the game. But for Legacy's Allure, which I believe... Actually, I think he might have still been able to kill me here, right? I think he can still kill me. Let's see, if he shoots me, I grab in response. Then he just loops it. It dies. The Legacy's Allure fizzles because it's a new creature. It comes back with more counters, and it piles up counters and nukes me, and that's the end of the game. So, Kiki Wiki Jiki, I think you actually had me dead. But he didn't do that right. He hits me once. And then, inexplicably, he shoots me a second time and instead of having it loop back on itself. And then he thinks for a second and says done. And there you go. His window of opportunity missed because he missed the opportunity to have it shoot itself twice, which would have looped it down. Because if I grab it in response, then at what point in time do I grab this thing, right? He just shoots itself. It dies. So I gain control of... I can't even gain control of it. It just falls dead. It loops back in as a 5 or as a 6/6 and goes to town on me and kills me. So anyway, not really sure what to make of that. 5 counters. Legacy's Allure, active and ready to steal Mikaeus. All right, so check this out. I'm going to preordain, of course. But first I'm going to steal Mikaeus. And stop the potential Triskelion shenanigans. This is nice too because it shrinks these guys down. All right, come on, deck. Deliver me. Holy shit. Rolling Earthquake on top. I'm at 10 and he's at 10. Wow. Okay, so there's a repeal on top. Now the question is, do I use the repeal to maybe hide the Rolling Earthquake? Because if I put the Rolling Earthquake in my hand, I can't do anything decisive with it right now. I mean, I guess I could potentially Earthquake right now. I could Earthquake for 3. And that would kill off both of his creatures, take him to 7, and kill the Liliana. He'd be down to 2 cards, which actually wouldn't really be that bad. But I kind of decide that what I'd rather do is wait for an opening here, because I don't know what the last 2 cards in his hand are. And this is not a guaranteed win at all. I'd rather he not have the information about what I might be able to do, and maybe extend with a few more creatures and depend on using them as blockers against Mikaeus. So with that in mind, I decide I'm going to put the repeal on top of my deck and the Earthquake underneath it. So now I've got the repeal in hand. I can play my island. I've got padding in my hand for the Evolving Wilds. I'm not going to play the Flametongue Kavu because I'd rather use the Flametongue Kavu to potentially clear out a bigger blocker that I can't necessarily Earthquake. And if I play Flametongue Kavu here, I can kill Skinrender, and that leaves him with just Triskelion. I don't know. There's various things I could do here, but I decided I'd rather keep the repeal up and use it as insurance against what he might play post-combat, or to trick him into recasting his Liliana to use up his mana. There's a lot of different ways I could have played this turn. And in retrospect, maybe just quaking for 3 would have been the right play. But if I do quake for 3, he's not dead. He's still at 7. I do have a big creature in play, and he doesn't have a board, but I'm really vulnerable to what might come afterward. So, in retrospect... All right, so he attacks with these guys, and I'm thinking, okay, well, what do I do here? If I make a token, and I block here, that saves me 3 damage. I take 2, but then, of course, the token's dead, and he can just use Liliana to kill off the Mikaeus. So I can't make a token to block. So if I bounce, obviously I can't bounce Skinrender because he'll just replay it and shrink Mikaeus the Lunarch, or Mikaeus the Unhallowed. If I bounce Liliana, it'll reset it, but at least that'll cause him to use 3 mana during his turn, or at least 2 because of the Jet Medallion, and it'll kind of bluff vulnerability. So think about this for a while. Tap some mana, untap. And I'm kind of a little nervous about taking 5 here because he has the ability to drain life me or something. If he is playing with a card like that, he has enough mana to drain life me for 5, or cast something similar to that, like Soul Burn or whatever. There are a range of black spells he could cast here to kill me. So I need to be a little bit careful about that. But ultimately I decide I can probably go to 5. And then I decide I'm just going to bounce Liliana. And I'm just doing this entirely as a tempo play to make him believe that I'm concerned about the Liliana and to get him to use some of his mana to replay it that he might use defensively instead, because he doesn't know I have a burn spell and he may believe that he's safe at 5 with 1 hit from the Mikaea. So now the Rolling Earthquake's in my hand. And I'm assuming he doesn't have discard because I think he would have made me discard before he attacked. So post-combat, he's at 3 cards. Tap, tap. He takes 2 more damage. And out comes Grave Titan. Wow, that would have been an astonishing play if I had gone with the Rolling Earthquake plan, of course. In fact, that would have screwed me terribly. Because how the hell does Mikaea get through Grave Titan? That would not have worked out well. I would have been at 7 life after Rolling Earthquaking for 3, and he'd have Grave Titan in play, and I'd have no answer to it at all. So, afterward, he plays Liliana of the Veil. And he makes me sack a creature. And if you notice here, he had another opportunity to win, because I make a Kobold, right? Now, this ability is still in the stack. He's still got a counter on Triskelion. So Triskelion could have... Oh, wait, it's a 1-2! He couldn't do it! I was thinking, oh my god, don't shoot it, don't shoot it. But because of Mikaea, this thing is a 1-2 and he can't kill it. Gorgeous. All right, so I sack the Kobold. It has Undying, but of course it can't come back. And check out this finale. I'm sure you guys can see what's going to happen here. The ultimate conclusion. I'm sure at this point he's thinking this game is over. Opponent at 5. I've got Grave Titan, 2 blockers. He's only got 3 cards in hand. What could possibly happen? Draw an island. Tap 4 mana. Rolling Earthquake for 3. Clearing out. Or dealing 3 damage to him. Dealing 3 damage to Grave Titan. Killing off his other 2 blockers. Killing the rest of his board. I will not redirect it to Liliana. He's at 5 and I'm at 2, and he had a Triskelion in play with 1 counter on it. Flame Tongue Kavu comes down. Kills Grave Titan. He's at 5, I'm at 2. Attack. Lethal damage. Game over. Crazy, amazing conclusion. That was insane. Because the thing is, too, is that he had a Triskelion in play with 1 counter on it, and I'm at 2 life at the end of the game. Which means that if I had been at 1, he had the ability to kill me with Triskelion when I tried to cast the Rolling Earthquake, and I would have lost the game. It would not have been a solution. So I literally had to be at that exact life total or above to survive and make this game work out. And I cannot believe I was able to win the game after the way that it looked about maybe 4 turns ago when he had Liliana and a board I couldn't deal with, and I had nothing in my hand that could stop Mikaea plus a Undying Skin Render, and he got the Triskelion combo and had the ability to kill me, and he didn't do it. Net result, after 2 major mistakes by Kiki Wiki Jiki, the budget Nin deck pulls it out once again. Man, what a game. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I will state that it's unlikely I will have a game this good for a while, but you never know. Maybe I'll get lucky and have another incredible game tomorrow. I do have a couple other games with the budget Nin deck that aren't quite as pitched to battle as this one, but they are entertaining, and I'll have them up for you guys pretty soon. All right, thanks for watching. Take care.